Hey everybody. I know folks are coming. We're going to get started in just a minute. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you for joining. Those of you who have come in. Thanks for the hearts already. Thank you all. So welcome. I'm gonna go on and just get started. I know that other folks are joining in shortly. I know that. Hey. Oh, you can do that while driving? Okay. You're skilled. In the snow? Okay. Pastor Carol. All right, darlings. I want to make sure you can hear me good today. I decided that I'm gonna do the dark side of being anointed in a couple of days because I'm actually still experiencing some of the physical symptoms, and but I'm in a very, very tranquil place right now because I shifted my routine a little bit to take care of me better. All right. Can you hear me okay? Can somebody let me know if you can hear me? I see hearts. Okay, great. So we're going to talk about today how to handle breakdowns. How to handle breakdowns. And first of all, I guess I need to introduce myself. Hi, if this is your first time joining, I am LaTanya Taylor with Rebirth International, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Coach's Coach, and the Priestess of Passion, baby. These are the things that I get called in love. Thank you all from India. All right, from India joining us today. I'm in Costa Rica, India. So let's make some magic. How to handle breakdowns. You may call breakdowns some other things. For instance, you may call them a misunderstanding, an upset, challenges that are out of your control, repeat experiences in areas of your life, or, it may be even just a constant rub, being rubbed the wrong way, the constant rub with some other person, right? Or a situation. It could even be an employer someone that you work for that could, rub you the wrong way. And so breakdowns are sure to come. And we've been talking in the last 4 days about coming out. Nothing will make a person go in, shut down, turn themselves off, hide, when they have not been taught how to deal with conflict, when they have not been taught how to deal with the feeling that rises up on the inside when you feel disappointed, when your feelings are hurt, particularly if you are an empath or a HSP, a highly sensitive person. Sometimes things hurt your feelings even more than you will want to know. So of course I have been sharing my story. And a part of coming out of it for many people is really realizing that your specialness, the thing about you that you don't like. I did not like the fact that I got my feelings hurt so easy. I didn't like the fact that I cared so much about people. I didn't like the fact that a person would say certain things, even in my family, and not realize the impact of those words. You know, we hear stuff like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie. Words are the most powerful creative energy that we have to use for spiritual law. You know, we quote things like the power of life and death are in the tongue, but then we when we were young, we heard this. It sets up a conflict in the mind. Now, of course, I have also been talking to the woman in the middle. This is very important because if you're not from the streets, if you weren't brought up in team sports, for instance, where joning and joshing and playing around is normal, if you weren't in a school environment where you had to fight or had to survive, that is just a muscle that you just don't have. You don't, that's not conflict. But then there are people in our lives that we don't know their backgrounds. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what it is that they have experienced. And we marry even people who have a different background than us. And so what I like to ask you is a few questions. Do you fight fair or do you fight dirty? Do you fight fair or do you fight dirty? I was blessed to grow up in a household, despite all of the heartbreak and the disappointment and the internalizing that I did as a child. Even when my mother modeled for me the ability to say, I'm sorry, I apologize, I hurt your feelings. And a lot of parents, as adults, we don't think that we're supposed to do anything like that with children. But she modeled very early for me. Now, I will tell you, constantly saying I'm sorry after you've verbally abused someone is still abuse. And some people grow up in backgrounds in environments where dysfunction, conflict is the normal, where it is okay to talk to each other a certain way, to go at each other, to attack, to do certain things a certain way, and it's just normal. But I'm not talking to normal people. And I'm also hoping that you will be able to spot how it is that there are certain things that have shut you down or turned off your light, turned off your magic, turned off your charm, turned off your belief in yourself. Because these things definitely happen to me. So, do you fight fair or do you fight dirty? Your loved one may need to know that. Because if you fight dirty, the things that you say, when you may not mean it because it's just a fight. And for you, you go all in for a fight. But for another person, they could take you literally, particularly people like me who have had fight or flight syndrome. People like me who have the gift of goodbye. Because I'm not going to do too much fighting with you. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of that with you. In fact, exchanging a whole lot of words is not my type of thing. In fact, I notice even when you look at regionally where a person is from. You know, on the East Coast, you know, they're talkers. They say a lot of shit out their mouth and they, you know, and it's cool. It's normal. I notice with Southerners tend not to play certain ways. There's certain things that when you say to a Southerner or maybe even someone from the islands, that it's fighting time. Like it's time to shut off the talk, the joshing. But, you know, this is important because sometimes when we see other people, we compare ourselves or we are not contextualizing their experience. We're not contextualizing where they came from. There's also people who grew up in households where they don't have any conflict. They don't talk about anything. It is just everything is swept under the rug. So these people oftentimes do not have the skill for handling breakdowns. Breakdowns do not have to be the end of the world. And I want you to be able to look at where you have had breakdowns and you fell back, went away, or labeled yourself or other people and permanently imprinted in your mind that this is the way that they are, or this is the way that it is. So now, after you answer the question, do you fight fair or do you fight dirty? After you settle yourself, what do you do? Do you go into victim mode? Do you go into sulking? Do you think about how you're going to get the person back? Do you think about leaving? Like, yeah, okay. You know, like I used to do that. Like, okay, I ain't going to be putting up with this shit too much longer. Like in my head. All of those inner conversations are the things that begin to either amplify the beauty of who we are or diminish us and amplify the ugliness of inside of us. The key is we have to know ourselves. A lot of when we say that hurting people hurt people or people, that is true. And I wish you all could see the cat that just snuck in the house, boldly sneaks through open windows and open doors. But when we look at the breakdowns are not always even with people, right? Breakdowns happen when you decide to play a bigger game in your life. When you decide I'm no longer going to accept this in my life, or I'm ready to come forward. I'm ready to step it up. I'm ready to start my business. I'm ready to heal my heart or heal my marriage. I'm ready. Venga aquí. Venga. Talking to the cat in Spanish. When you decide that you're ready, when you decide that you're open, when you decide that you want to love, when you decide, that is when everything unlike it is going to show up. Many of us are not prepared for it. So we, again, do spiritual bypasses and we say things like, well, again, God didn't intend for it to happen, or I just can't deal with this, or whatever the case may be. We tell ourselves, or maybe it's just not time yet. No. It is an opportunity for you to look at what it is that is available for you to build inside of yourself, the muscle that you decide that you want to build inside of yourself. So, do you fill in the blanks? Third question. Do you fill in the blanks based on previous experiences with different people, places, or things? If yes, these are filters. These are filters. I talked about the filters in the first two broadcasts. I talked about the filters. Okay. Now I have another question. When you have a breakdown, do you go to other people and drop seeds about them? Or drag for them, as we call it in New Orleans. We say, yes, she dragging for me, But what the truth is backbiting. Because I don't want to get into the solution just yet. I'm going to tell you. Somebody remind me to tell you that. Share that with you, not tell you. Share with you. Do you drop seeds about other people and meaning you've never talked to the person that is the issue that you have the upset with? You shut them off, you cut them off, you play games, you manipulate, you go off, you attack, you assume, you fill in the blanks, all these things. Now, this is very important for business owners, for leaders, for helpers of humans, for influencers, because we must call this out more. Listen, my father was the kind of person that he did not really do any, he didn't do any gossip. even your own business. I could go tell my daddy something that happened between me in a relationship. And he might listen for a minute if I was in trouble, but he would always say, "Okay, baby, all right, baby, that's enough. I don't need to take that on. I don't want you. You can figure that out." And he didn't deal with people who would be too gossipy, because a lot of times these people, they will do the same for you. On the other hand, growing up in a family of a lot of women, sometimes I would see us not use our leadership skills. Mind you, we're leaders in all these places. Now, we show up in leadership at work. We show up in leadership in the church. We show up in leadership for organizations and volunteer projects. We show up as leaders there. But then when it comes time for us to embody that in our personal relationships, because we have wounds that have been unhealed, a lot of times we are already reacting the knee-jerk reaction. Or sometimes we are making other people pay for the person who we felt got away with something the last time. So the good news is that breakdowns are opportunities for miracles. Remember, I was talking about do I believe in magic? And on that broadcast, do I believe in magic and why you do? And I broke down the difference between magic and miracles. Remember, miracles are a change in perceptions, also known as the holy instance, according to A Course in Miracles, or also known as the holy atonement. No, breakdowns are opportunities for miracles, not magic. Because I'm going to tell you how many of us are practicing black magic and we don't know it. The reason why black magic is dangerous is because of people who practice it and they call it something else. So, breakdowns are also not just with people. Breakdowns is when the money is shorter than the thing that you want to do. You know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's a breakdown, boo. Settling for less than you deserve. That breaks you down. It breaks down your spirit. Name calling is a breakdown. That's why I asked, do you fight fair or do you fight dirty? I was a child impacted by the names that was called to me. Do you hear? Seriously. When adults are going through things, sometimes they say things and they don't know that they are casting spells on their children or other people. When people cast spells on you, if you haven't been taught how to break it, you're still walking under it. Many of us are still walking in the spell of poverty, and collectively we're walking in the spell of post-traumatic slave syndrome. Some of us are still walking in whatever the lineage is. I talked about this on my Sunday prayer call on Sunday. Knowing your family of origin, knowing where you come from, knowing how you get down. But breakdowns also show up when, you may have gotten busy and things get out of order, out of hand, but they are meant to get your attention, especially if they keep happening. If they keep happening with different people, but it's the same breakdown. Meaning if you, and I've had to own this. For instance, I said on the first broadcast that I was basically putting my titty in people's mouths who didn't ask for it. That was a raw way of saying that, I had to own that there were people who I was coaching and ministered to and this type of thing that I didn't ask for permission for. And so they had an impression in their head about me that may have put them on a guard or that type of thing. I Because there's a way that sometimes we may turn people off and we don't even know that we're doing it. There's a way when you fill in the blank and you automatically assume that what you believe about what the person meant or said without asking is what it is. And it's not always what it is. And so when you grow up in cultures where you have to fight like this, you don't even know how to work through a breakdown. And so the first thing with a breakdown is investigate the reason that you respond the way that you do. Or that's, you have an opportunity to investigate it maybe once you've calmed down, maybe once you have you can ask, what is this bringing me? What message is this bringing me? But sometimes it doesn't always happen like that, particularly if you're married. You know this if you're married, right? Sometimes it requires you to listen right there in the moment and engage the breakdown. That's not what I meant. This is what I meant. That's not what you heard. But sometimes what we do is we tell the other person what it is they meant, what they said, how many times they effed up, how many times they've broken your heart. Oh, you did this before, so you must have meant this. And it is why marriage is the greatest mirror that we have on earth, because you don't know yourself until you see your reflection in another person, until they're telling you this is how you are showing up to me. Now, yes, they have to deal with their filters, but a lot of people with spiritual technology, what they tend to do is just keep on pushing it back. You're creating this. You're creating this. No, we are all creating at the same time. This is where you get the art of Ho'oponopono. If you've never heard of it, I'll post it in Good Girls Gone Goddess or maybe on my Facebook page. But Ho'oponopono says that I am responsible for the world that I see. I created it. If I created it, then I can be a part of healing it. So when we talk about what we see in the world, we participated in that until we decide not to. Until we decide not to. But and sometimes it requires being an interruption in the moment. It doesn't mean all the time that it's going to be pretty when you're in it. But as long as you stay in it and you don't just go to your corners and come back out for another round. I can't wait to tell that bitch off. I can't wait to tell her. And now we have social media. So what we do on social media is we go post indirect comments to people that we are not bold enough to say it to. That is cowardice, my friend. That is cowardice. Why post it on your page, but you haven't said it to the person? Come on now. I'm talking to people who are committed to healing. I'm not talking to the people who are unconscious, who are operating in right and righteous indignation. I'm not talking about the people who are hiding behind their position of authority and cannot admit, what it is that they're doing. I'm talking to people who are really into intimacy. Because, see, when we talk about even orgasms, there's levels to the shit, right? Like orgasms is a clitoral orgasm is one thing. It is the baby food thing. But what about when we talk about orgasms that rise up the body? Many of us have these many blocks. We have blocks to it. And so a part of the tantric journey is to be able to heal that. And I didn't know that. When I first started studying Tantra years ago, I didn't know that I was going to have to dive into the places that may have represented hurt and healing in my womb. Or those of us who have experienced molestation, how deeply buried that trauma is. And if you are empathic and gifted, you also process through these things very differently. So what happens over time is we start to self-protect and build armor around our heart, around our communication, and we only know how to throw daggers or just disappear and fade away. So I said, let's go into solution. Let's go into remedy. So number one, I said it, and I'm going to say it again. Investigate the reason you respond the way that you do, or be willing to listen if you're in the real moment. In other words, engage without scandal. You know, yes, we get heated. Yes, we get heated, and sometimes we say things that we don't mean to people that we truly love. Because a lot of times, only the person that we really love and adore can get next to us like that. Unless you just built for damn fighting. There's some people who are always looking for a damn fight. The second thing is to own it. Own it by stating it to yourself first. Process yourself first, right? And sometimes it happens in the moment with your soulmates and twin flames. And by the way, soulmates and twin flames is not just erotic love. Soulmates and twin flames are deeply committed friendships where there's a synergy between you and that other person that is not necessarily sexual, but it is creative. And so sometimes you in the company of that person, there is constant healing. There's constant growth. Those are the most beautiful and the most ugly relationships. My husband brought to my attention that Cicely Tyson was asked in an interview about her relationship with Miles Davis. And one of the things that she said that it was chaos. She said it was chaos, but it was beautiful, and it was all these duplicitous things. Sometimes chaos is not necessarily a sign unless you're being abused and broken down and hurt, verbally abused, physically abused, financially abused. And so chaos sometimes is birthplace. This is why you can't always run from the dark, your darkness. So, stating it to yourself or to another person. Okay, I see what you mean. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I misunderstood you. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. Okay? Then the third thing is claim the shift. Claim the shift out loud. It won't just come. Now we get up and preach about how to praise and how to pull down strongholds. But what about pulling down the stronghold when you're in the middle of the conflict? What about walking that thing down when you know how you talk about you'll walk a bitch down? What about walking that dark energy that rides on you? What about walking that thing that shows up to take you down into lack? We want to walk down everything else, but we won't walk down these attaching spirits. And sometimes we have to walk it down when we're in the middle of it. And the best way to walk things down is to affirm and announce the thing that you want to see happen so that it can happen. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Words. Remember I said that's false? We talk about the power of left. So announce it. Okay. I love you. I care for you. I don't want to fight with you. We can get through this. That's what I mean by claiming the shift. You may be red hot mad. You may want to punch them in their face. But we can get through this. It can be a shifting point. And then a lot of times what we do is the last thing that I'll leave, there are other steps to atonement with yourself and with others, with your money, with your sexuality, with your love life. There is atonement. Even in divorce, for instance, divorces don't have to end as some kind of failure, as some type of you lost. You know, we set this thing up as though it's a win-lose situation. And so people evaluate themselves as failures after divorce. No, you got to look at the reason you ended up married in the first place. Maybe you were unconscious when you got married. Maybe you grew out of that. And you can agree we're no longer serving to take each other higher. It does not have to be drama. There's a such thing as a spiritual divorce where you can bless the way of the other person. I bless you. I look forward to you thriving in another relationship in your life. But what we do is we curse the other person. That is black magic. Okay. But the last thing is make new agreements. Atonement is ineffective with yourself or with others if you don't make a new agreement on how you're going to show up, what's the lesson you learn, what's the new commitment. It does not even mean that you are necessarily going to always get it right. Remember, we're not talking about being perfect here. I'm not talking to you perfection Pams. Imperfection is a birth process. It births you, because what you think is imperfected about you is the perfecting power of the Holy Spirit working inside of you. I'll say that again. What you think is imperfect about you is the perfecting power of the Holy Spirit. Just to be born and to accept this journey as humans is imperfection. What we consider life is really death. When a baby is born, they're coming out of the cosmic reality and the cosmic universe to take this human journey. And what we consider death, and you know that you can find this in the scripture. Even death is a new life. You're released from this stronghold, this foolishness, this illusion that we get caught up in. So yes, breakdowns happen. Breakdowns happen in sex. Breakdowns happen in money. Breakdowns happen in love. Breakdowns are going to happen. And if you are in leadership helping humans, they sometimes are going to break you down. And so you need to be prepared for the people who say that they're going to pay you and they don't. How do you handle that? I know for me, I would think that there was something, I took the shit personal. And that actually creates more lack. What about the people who lie on you, that you have agreed to help, to serve? There's breakdowns there. But how do we handle breakdowns? And so this is a part of coming out. Coming out is not always, coming out it relieves you. It opens up vortexes. It creates abundance in your life. It creates this quantum experience with your own spiritual power. But it does not mean you don't have to roll up your sleeves and get in the trenches. It's the mundane things sometimes that call for us. And the reason I know is because I've had so many breakdowns with my own self, with people, and I'll say this in closing. This may be a real ouch moment. You know, when you work with me, that's how it is sometimes. If you have a trail of bodies, you know, people that you've cut off, shut off, you've shut down from, you handle them with a long handle spoon, as we say in the South. I will say to you that sometimes in your vulnerability, you are made strong. It's not a sign of weakness to be willing to handle the breakdown. Now, after you have tried to address a breakdown, after you've done all that you can with things that are out of your control, sometimes that is when surrender and pleasure come into play. Surrender and pleasure. Some things you will not be able to control or understand or explain, because when you're ready to talk about something, when you're ready to heal, they may not be ready. But know that the reason that oftentimes they're not ready is because they have not cleaned up their own filters. They may make it about you but it really isn't always about you. And when I work with women, particularly when we're talking about working with our feminine pulchritude, we have to be able to give space, particularly to the masculine. They process different than we do. The masculine, notice I did not say men, because many women are operating in the masculine with their vulvas, vaginas, breasts, all of that good stuff. Men sometimes, they don't handle conflict the same way. If you didn't grow up in a household with men, you don't know. If you didn't grow up in a household with your father, you don't know. If you weren't surrounded by uncles, you just don't know. So be careful of what you call these breakdowns, even in relationships, because sometimes the breakdown is an opportunity for you to see a part of yourself that still needs healing. So it's an opportunity, not an assault. So what did you hear? What did you see? What did you feel? I'm squinting. Can you see that I'm squinting today? I saw the guy who made the little nasty comments, but I just chose to ignore him. I don't know how to block him. I'm going to interrupt my flow. That's how it is sometimes. You know, I could have decided to tap into him, but he was having his own breakdown, honey. Thank you, Duchess. All right, you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. You heard claim it. Okay, claim it. Breakdowns are opportunities to see yourself. What else? Has this revival really been a revival for you? Lord knows it's been for me. And one day I'm going to tell it all. Affirm and announce. Okay, yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Carol. Yes. I love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it. I look forward to talking with you again tomorrow, reviving. My revival may be somebody else's rebirth. Your rebirth could be somebody else's revival. So invite other people to join us. I know that some of you are going back to work. Invite folks to join us or to watch the recordings. I love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it.